This video discusses the patrol services item in your leads writing exercise. And I'm using this as an example to show why it's important to first understand what you're writing about. So let's look at the facts we have here. And if you haven't been a reporter or you haven't attended public meetings in your community or thought much about how public governance is organized, there are some things that you might not realize about this set of facts. First, we have a meeting occurring, right? So on Monday, the Smith County Board of Supervisors meets. And what the Board of Supervisors would do in a county is they would serve as a boss for the county sheriff. Now, the sheriff is an elected official as well, but the supervisors would be in charge basically of county governance. Since the sheriff is a county service, the supervisors would be in charge of approving or disapproving the budget, and the sheriff would submit a budget for his department. And the supervisors would say, we can either provide that money through taxes, or we can't provide that much money, we can provide this much money. So what's happening in this story is the supervisors are holding a meeting to consider a proposal that's been made probably by one of the county supervisors to make a cut to the sheriff's department budget, right? So probably the proposal comes from one of the supervisors, and one of the more fiscally conservative ones, or a supervisor who has other uses for the money, or has detected some problems with the sheriff's department with overspending, or whatever the case may be. Now, supervisors are also elected, right? So these are all elected officials, politicians essentially. And they're having not a regular meeting of the supervisors, but a budget meeting, which would be less public. But in a case like this, a beat reporter would attend the meeting and find out, what's going on with the sheriff's department. So at this meeting, the sheriff shows up because he wants to tell not only the supervisors, but also the public what's going to happen if the supervisor's proposal goes through. And the supervisors will vote on this proposal. It looks like from this set of facts, the supervisors didn't vote on it. In public governance, what usually happens is it takes 3 meetings to get a proposal passed. At the first meeting, the proposal is introduced and it might be discussed, and then there will be a second meeting, and then at the third meeting, the vote takes place, and that's just kind of a convention of governance. So it's not exactly clear when the cut would happen, and then 60 days later is when the sheriff's deputies themselves would stop, would get would be laid off, and patrol services would be cut in half. Now, let's think about what patrol services actually are. If you have a city police department, then you have police officers, and they're called patrolmen, and we know what police officers do, right? They patrol neighborhoods, they respond to calls. There's a dispatcher who sends them out to respond to calls or disturbances, and they pull people over for traffic violations, things like that. Now, the difference between a county sheriff's department and a local police department is simply one of jurisdiction. If you live in Baltimore, for example, the Baltimore City Police might have jurisdiction over you and your activities, and then the county sheriff's department would have the same jurisdiction. The county jurisdiction is usually larger, although I suppose there are cases where the city has is in 2 different county sheriff's districts. So anyway, we can easily see how the borders of a county might be different from the borders of a city, and the differences in jurisdiction. So while patrol officers are equivalent to city policemen, sheriff's deputies are equivalent to patrol officers. So what's going on here is that sheriff's deputies are going to lose their jobs, right? So that's how we get the facts right. The sheriff is opposed to the budget cut, and he goes to the meeting in order to tell people why he's opposed, and then so we want to ask why. our readers would care about that? Well, crime is, of course, a big issue, and nobody wants to hear that there are going to be fewer policemen on the streets, which is what the sheriff is saying is going to be the response to this. He's basically saying there's no other way to cope with this kind of budget cut. People will be laid off, and this is why our readers are going to care, because it's going to mean fewer police on the streets, right? Readers don't care that a meeting was held. Readers don't care that the sheriff attended the meeting. And they don't care so much about the amount of the budget cut, although that's an important piece of information. So once we figure out why this is important to our readers, then we want to write an opening sentence that has an action verb. So the people who are really affected are readers themselves and the sheriff's deputies. So the way this example lead goes, we're going to have half as many sheriff's deputies patrolling the streets of Smith County if the budget cut goes through. So we're going to lead with that, and in a second paragraph we can follow up saying, giving the when, the how much, and we have a pretty good quotation here in our notes from the sheriff. And so I'm giving you in this video just a good example, and trying to explain the importance of why you look at your set of information and get your facts right. You ask yourself why your readers care about these particular facts, and then you find the person or people who are being affected, or what is going to happen. In this case, the sheriff's deputies will potentially lose their jobs. And we have Sheriff Jones in the opening sentence as an actor, because when he shows up and says this at the meeting, then that's notable.